Hola chicos, I thought I would film in front of my blooming lilac bushes today, A, because they look pretty, B, because they smell good. And today we are going to continue our study de la inmigración, recent immigration to the United States of America, and what that has meant for our country, and today, specifically, our state. So what I want to start off with is I want to show you the coolest map that you're going to see today. Take a look at this. This is a map of the most common language spoken in every state that is not English or Spanish. And you can see it differs from state to state. And this map is super cool because it shows us the different immigrant groups that have been dominant in different parts of the country. Some of that goes back to more distant history. Like you can see German still being the second most, or probably the third most common language in the Dakotas. And some of that speaks to more recent immigration in the United States of America. And if you look at our state, the state of Minnesota, you will see that we are the only state in which Somali is the dominant language other than English or Spanish. So why is that? Obviously, the reason that Somali is the third most dominant language in the state of Minnesota is because in Minnesota, we have a large group of Somali immigrants. We have a large Somali community in the state of Minnesota, bigger than any other state. And today I want to look at the history of why that is and how that has contributed to the diversity of the state of Minnesota. Back in quarter 3, when we were still in school, we did a similar lesson to this when we were studying the history of the Vietnam War, and we looked at the secret war that took place in Laos and the U.S. enlistment of Hmong soldiers to help in that fight against Laotian communists, and how after the U.S. didn't do so hot in Vietnam, a lot of those Hmong allies turned into refugees that were eventually resettled in the United States of America, many of whom resettled in the state of Minnesota. And that's contributed to the large Hmong population and the large Hmong community we got in places like St. Paul and really all over the state. It's a similar situation, but a completely different history when we talk about Somali immigration to the United States. And so that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at why and how these people from the Horn of Eastern Africa decided to emigrate from that country to the state of Minnesota, a state kind of just in the middle of the North American continent. So we're going to look at why that happened, and we're going to look at what's happened since Somali immigrants began to arrive here. As I'm editing this video, by the way, it's worth noting that while I keep saying Somali immigrants, a lot of Somalis that live in Minnesota today aren't immigrants. They were born here. They're second and third generation Somali, and they are American citizens who don't need to apply for a visa or a green card because they were born in the United States of America and are as American as anyone else who was born in the US. That's my brother. Your assignment for today, I have a set of questions that I want you to answer about Somali immigration to Minnesota. You have several resources available to you to give you information to help you answer these questions. You do not have to read all of these sources. That would take you a while. That said, they are all great sources. You only need to read as many as you want to or need to in order to be able to answer each of these questions sufficiently. And the title of the sources should kind of help you determine which sources are going to help you answer which questions. So be thinking about that. And let's walk through some of these questions. So the first one requires a little bit of outside research. It asks where Somalia is located on a map and what is its capital. This is nothing a quick Google search can't solve, but I do think it's important when we're talking about a country and a group of people from a certain country that we can find where that country is on a map and know what the capital city is of that country. After that, we get into the immigration. And so questions 2 and 3 look at push and pull factors. Push factors being what pushed Somali people to emigrate, to leave their home country. We can imagine that usually when people leave their home country, it's because things in their home country aren't all that great. And so what are the things that push Somali immigrants to leave their country? And what are the factors that attracted Somali immigrants to the state of Minnesota? What are some of the pull factors that made Minnesota an attractive destination for Somali people looking to resettle? And the next 2 questions, the last 2 questions, deal with contributions and challenges. So first of all, what are some contributions that Somali immigrants have made to our state in building their new lives and their new communities? How has that contributed to the diversity and the richness we have here in the state of Minnesota? And also challenges. Every immigrant group that has ever came to the United States has encountered some challenges. What are some challenges specific to the Somali community? What kind of struggles has the Somali community experienced? and trying to build their new lives here in the state of Minnesota. And one of the main things you're going to look at here is discrimination. And I always think back to, most of my life, I always referred to Somali people as Somalians. And it wasn't until much later that I learned that Somalian isn't even a word. Somali is the proper term to refer to the people from the country of Somalia, not Somalian. And I think that just shows the level of ignorance that I had and that many people have when it comes to this super important immigrant group in our state. And it didn't necessarily make me a bad person that I didn't know that, but I can tell you this, 100% of the discriminatory comments that I've ever heard made about Somali people always refer to them as Somalians, always refer to them incorrectly. And so I think that tells you a lot right there. If somebody's making discriminatory comments about a group and they don't even know how to refer to the group correctly, are they really in a place where they can offer a judgment about that group? This is no different than thinking that all Latinos are Mexican or thinking that Muslim represents a race of people. They just kind of highlight our ignorance on some of the people who make up our diverse state and our diverse country. And so that's something I definitely want you to look at as you answer that last question of this homework assignment. And that will be it for today. Remember, there is no summative assessment this week. So once you get this daily assignment done, you are done for the week. And you don't have to come back till Tuesday. We got a 3-day weekend due to Memorial Day. Next Tuesday, we will look at some more examples of modern-day immigration in the United States. We'll spend the rest of the week wrapping up this last unit on modern American history. There'll be no summative assessment next week either. I'll drop your final summative assessment, your final test, your final. It will be an essay on you the following Monday. I believe that's Monday, June 1st. Have a good long weekend. See you Tuesday.